Hello everybody. If you are like myself and you happen to find one of these Yi Jun toy Iron Man figure and your battery terminal is corroded as mine was, this is a video explaining how to take this apart, fix the battery terminal, carefully put it back together. Now I found this one at the thrift store. It was like $3 maybe, so I bought it. It looked like it was in very good condition, like it was very well kept. So far, none of the little kids who were running through that aisle had picked it up or thrown it or anything, so I ended up picking it up because I thought it was a cool little weird Iron Man thing. The battery terminals were corroded, which happens. This is a toy, and all toys are screwed in at the battery plate. So what you're going to need for this teardown is like a dollar store star head screwdriver. You need a deep one for specifically the head helmet pieces. You got this one right here you need to take so you can get access to the battery port and kind of go over what's underneath this. So after you get this little screw out, battery door comes off. So for myself personally, this was the area of concern. Start off with something like a wet wipe, right? I used a Lysol disinfecting wipe and I cleaned all the battery stuff that was out of here. If you happen to have like another screwdriver like this, but that's a star, you can carefully scrape off the parts of the battery acid or whatever that gets in here, and then dump it out and, you know, keep cleaning and wiping it with an alcohol or whatever kind of cleansing wipe that you want to. Something that I went and did in expectation that this might be broken was I went out and got, I don't know if you can see this very well, it's another spring from a different toy, and I've swapped it out. What I did, let's see, this goes this way for here, the metal piece that's in all of this, there's one metal piece that runs behind these two. So if you happen to have, and this is where you will need one other tool besides the screwdriver to take it apart, if you happen to have a thin, small pair of pliers, yeah, you can get in here and pull, these two, I'm sorry, not this one. This one here and this one here are connected to a wire in the back for the battery. For me, I didn't touch these two in terms of replacing them because these two are on their own independent block, whereas these two blocks share the same. There's a little area here where this overlaps. So I was able to, here it is like this, I was able to drop this in here, and what I did was I found some junky old plug, right? And I ripped this apart, and inside here there's just more metal and whatever that's thinner than this. So with some thicker cutters, I cut that and I used them as a reinforcement behind these thin little springs so that they didn't fly off. That again, I'm doing this level of work because it was so far beyond corroded. So that is how I was able to wedge this little spring in place on both sides, here and here. This terminal was clean enough that I could scratch it clean with a couple layers of sandpaper to get the big stuff and then the finer amount out. And so this terminal was salvageable. This one was not. The spring that was in here was just so far shot. I was hoping that the bottom of the panel had a hole that you could thread or screw the string into so that I could figure out where I need to, cut the spring where I need to, and very carefully with some pliers twist it in place so that it would be like these, more secure. My workaround for that was getting two of these and having them flipped upside down and having the wire, this wire that runs across, having them intertwine with each other. I had to get a hot poker, poke a small hole through the back of this, being very careful for the little thin wire that's in the back that runs to that terminal, just getting a little hot hole and poking it in. And what I did was, with the little length end of the string, or not the string, the spring, excuse me, I pushed it into the body after the top and bottom were twisted into each other like they are. So, and then I secured it with another piece of, essentially this, out of the long part of in here because it was thinner. So a piece like this is wedged down here, like this piece here is, carefully wedged down in there in place to hold the bottom spring, which is facing this way, onto a twisted, it was twisted in here, top spring, so these two won't come out, but they're not as professional as these. But when you put the battery in, it does work. So I'll take it, considering it's a cool $3 iron, man. Cool. And his eyes do glow for a couple seconds after he turns on. But anyway, that was how I fixed the battery situation. There was no other mechanical problems with this thing at all. I didn't have to tear it apart further, but I did because I thought I had to in order to get to the back of this. I wanted to see what the back of this looked like. So I'm going to take apart my one screw that's in here so you guys can see what is, I'm sorry, it's in here. What is in the back of this. And when you're dealing with screws on this, always go carefully. It's not worth stripping a screw, ever. Keep all your screws together, yeah? This is ready. Very, very slowly and carefully take it apart, because the connector, the wires that run through this and connect, first of all, the arms will fall out, the head piece will fall right out, and this is as thin as these arms are, these wires. So just be very careful to look at. I know you can't see this as well, but it's just a little, it's just a little mechanical thing, and this piece here connects here, and as this moves, these nudge up and down and they move the arms. So when you're putting this in, the arms have one notch here, right, on each side, and they are what's going to sit and wiggle above this. This is just what's behind it. Pretty simple. I'm going to put this back. I don't know why the piece that they have for the arms has to be a loose piece. It makes it that much more difficult. So that's what you're looking at on the inside. You can see everything connecting to the LEDs because they're just little LEDs, and this is just a toy. It's the thinnest wires ever. So do not rip this thing apart just trying to pry at it. This is easy to take apart, easier to put back together. So you can see here the little arm that's going to dance. That piece has to go, I think, above it, because it more or less just lifts the arm to like do this. So pushing that, you don't even have to push it, it just slides on place. Just make sure that that is not below this piece but above it. Ready? So carefully put this back on here, and when you're doing this, this little LED light just slides right out, like just has nothing securing it. So make sure that you put I don't know if you can see it, there's a thin little piece of tape. Put a little piece of tape there to hold that in there, because there's a little bar in between that the LED's positive negative terminal slides in between, but it just falls right out. So when you're putting the arms in, this kept falling out for me. You can put this headpiece on after you get the arms secured. Just be mindful, be very careful. It's a piece of plastic toy. You don't want to be rushing this kind of a project. And then this one goes in just like that. And without pushing a lot of hard pressure, without making sure everything is secure and snug. Secure and snug, not down here. What's not missing up? Is that there? There we go. That's it. I didn't press anything. I'm just gently holding it together, not giving any pressure to it. Everything should fit in place the same way it came out, and it only came out one way. So that's what's inside. This is, where's my screwdriver? Oh, I need to get a screw. So I thought one was just slightly smaller than the other for this door. I will double check that soon. But in any case, again, you're not forcing anything in here. This will fall into place if you just wiggle or whatever gently. You can't strip the threads on these things. Nothing. On a car, on a toy, nothing. before I set that in, I told you guys I was going to put this in right. I have one screw in here holding this side in. My little light is on and well, it's in place, but it's not falling out, so I'm going to carefully try and pull this slightly. That's all you need, is that little bit. Okay. Now, you want to have this side here in the front, okay? The one with the little lip. Not the one with the shorter lip, but the one with the longer lip. And what I do is I go at an angle kind of this way, and I just pry this open a little bit, and then this falls just right in place. Watch. Just a little, and you got to watch that light bulb too. You just need to get that right in there. Very careful, very slow. If that light falls in, you'll notice it won't be nearly as bright. And that's it. That's literally it. You're just prying this side open a little to wedge it in at a diagonal. That's it. This, before I screw anything else in, I'm just going to put this one on, and I'm going to just make sure that everything lights up properly, that the arms both rotate properly. Yeah, okay. So something else that I would be mindful of when you're handling this toy, handle it by the head. Handle it by the very underneath of the body. Do not pick it up where the hands are going to not have or are going to be restricted in movement, or the legs as well, when it's on and being tested. You don't want the motor to have resistance beyond the weight of the object by you holding it, and then it's grinding something trying to move an arm and you don't realize that you're doing something. So when you're handling this, if you want to test it, you can pick it up in the back like this and hold it just so that this doesn't touch anything else. Or I would hold it at the top of the head when it's on so that the arms and legs can move. And you can see if maybe you put this in wrong and the arms aren't moving. Like I put it in earlier and like one arm was moving but the other arm wasn't. So in there, the thing that gets hit by the motor just was underneath it or something. So it was going up and down. The motor was doing the right thing, but the arm positioning piece was underneath what it needed to be on top of. So if you want to test it, you can always just hold it by the head and just let it do its thing, you know, like let it dance and whatever, to make sure that before you put all your screws back in, that everything is aligned properly. And then double check that. If you remember, I mentioned that can just fall inside. It'll still illuminate, but it'll be way less bright as it should be because it fell within the thing and it's not directly shining up at this. So yeah. So his eyes glow. I don't think this glows, but his eyes do glow a little bit. And that's it. I'm going to put the rest of the screws in here. You are not going to touch the screws in the arms. There is no need for that unless the LED bulbs in here are dead. Do not touch anything but the head and the chest. Those are your screws and your screw areas. Everything else is not to be tampered with. So that's everything. There is one screw that is significantly smaller, and that's the one that's got to go in here. Something to note, if you have, like, bring one of these with you. If you have one of these and you can go in there and be like, hey, this thing is like super corroded, can you give me a discount? Like, it's a thrift store. Chances are they'll be like, yeah, sure, whatever. Because they don't want to hold this stuff, you know? Like, they don't know how to fix it. They don't know how to do any of that. They just know, it's broken. Throw it out. Get rid of it. I thought it was okay. I thought it worked. They don't take these things apart to look at them. Okay. That's the tutorial I have for you on the breakdown and what is inside this Yijun toy Iron Man. So I'm looking online for it. I don't see a lot of information about it, so I am going to post this video. Hopefully it helps some other people that are out there. If you're trying to fix this and you get a little intimidated, it's a super easy little toy that is great to work on. And now the moment of truth.
Cool.
When I saw this little Iron Man in the thrift shop, I thought that it was very underappreciated, and I feel like it has a very cool look to it that the boxing doesn't necessarily reflect. Not that I have the boxing, but I felt like I wanted to photograph it and kind of make it look like it would be a cool dance buddy on the dance floor. Hope you enjoy this. If you like this, or if you got anything out of this, I'd appreciate it if you could send me a tip. If you could just send me $1, just $1, one small dollar, I'd appreciate it. Thanks so much.